I'm going to address the top 3 social issues for INTJs and my tips on how to remedy them. The first issue is why people don't like us. The second issue is how to find and build relationships. And the final issue is just how to maintain a relationship once you build one. What I discuss in this video is honestly beneficial to any person watching this video, but I'm going to approach it from a very INTJ mindset. Because unless the INTJ was taught at a very young age how to be social, we're pretty much a fish out of water. Quick disclaimer though. This video might sound very aggressive if you're not an INTJ, but honestly, this is how an INTJ talks to ourselves. We expect nothing but the best from ourselves, and I expect nothing less than the best from my community. INTJs, it's okay to take breaks, but when you're ready, we're all going to improve together. So let's begin. The first issue is why people don't like us. This is my first tip. Don't treat people how you want to be treated. Treat people how they want to be treated. As an INTJ, if you treat people like how you want them to treat you, then you'll never meet anyone. Because that means every single person you ever meet just wants to be left alone. On top of that, 3/4 of the MBTI types don't communicate using TE the way that we do. So we're naturally going to offend people. Either we're going to come off as being very rude, condescending, aggressive, a know-it-all, and so forth. Whatever they think, they are absolutely right, because we don't get to choose how people feel. And if you're one of the INTJ that's like, how people feel isn't my responsibility, you're absolutely right too. And with that mindset, that's why you're going to die alone. And if you're okay with that, good on you. You can skedaddle off this video because the rest of the tips aren't made for you. It's not going to be helpful for you. But for the rest of us, the beauty of life is how colorful people are and that there's no one size fit all. Each person is different, and to assume that they want the same treatment as you do ignores all the struggle that they have to go through in their own lives. I know there are going to be some of you ignorant folks out there that don't see color, so here are a few human differences that have nothing to do with race. Gender, ableism, financial upbringing, education level, community, family dynamics, geographic location, and that's just a few that I thought of. There are so many things that make each person unique and different, so listen and respect each of their boundaries. That means you actually have to have conversations that are led by feelings. And I'm telling you, as a very healthy INTJ, if someone feels something strongly enough, that's a valid enough reason. No amount of logic can sway some people otherwise, so you just have to learn to engage with that feeling or work around it. That doesn't mean ignore your own feelings. You'll never hear me say that. INTJs never ignore your own feelings. You just have to find a balance. This scenario happens a lot, and I read about it all the time. A random ENFP will rant on the INTJ subreddit, complaining that they always do what the INTJ wants to do, and the INTJ ignores the wishes of the ENFP. Without context, my initial thought is that the ENFP is being emotionally needy. But even with context, that line of thinking is very toxic. To say that the ENFP is needy when the ENFP is vocally expressing how they want to be treated is a very toxic behavior. To ignore their feelings is to infer that your feelings are more important than theirs. And that's not how a relationship should be. It should be equal as often as possible. I'm not saying bend over backwards for them or do things that makes you too uncomfortable, because that's counterproductive. The point is to use NI and TE to find a balance. The second scenario is something that I'm guilty of myself and something that I see myself do a lot. The communication style of an INTJ is to be short and blunt to maintain clarity. We expect other people to be the same as well, or to at least receive it well. So an INTJ can join a group dynamic, such as an in-person party or Discord server, speaking very bluntly and confidently and being completely unaware how ignorant we sound because we can't read the room. Personally, I still cringe looking back at all those moments, because it doesn't matter whether I was right or wrong, I wasn't respecting people and their boundaries. I really lucked out when my ESTJ friend called me out on doing this. She TE'd the hell out of me, and I appreciate it, because man, I was so oblivious, and I really needed that reality check. To conclude this section, INTJs, stop being a know-it-all, listen to people, and validate their emotions. Treat people how they want to be treated. The second issue is how to find and build relationships. This is my tip. People should be treated like people and not your therapist. There are so many layers to this tip because it affects the entire social life of an INTJ, from being a family member, to a lover, to a friend, a coworker, and every other social aspect out there. I'm still not confident that this section can be defined in a single sentence, but I think it covers the essence of what I'm trying to get at. This tip is what I struggle with the most in my own personal life and how MBTI has helped me out the most. It boils down to the following 2 sentences. It's one of the most unreasonable things to expect a person to be everything for you, knowing damn well that you yourself are a flawed human being. Leave your therapy session for your therapist. When meeting someone new, don't expect them to match your wits or have an intelligent conversation with you. Meet people to enjoy the moment with you so that you don't miss out on life. Coming from a person who used to think that way, that I only want to surround myself with intelligent people that enjoys abstract conversations or very deep topics, it's okay to have standards, but it's not fair and extremely dumb to expect people to meet you on your playing field if you're not willing to meet them on theirs. I've said things like this so many times in my life, and I still hear it all the time in the community. I don't have friends because people don't like having intelligent conversations. I'm single because I haven't met anyone as deep as I am. People don't like me because I'm mentally superior and they feel threatened by my intelligence. I get it, INTJs. I've said all three and millions more. And as strong as we are with Papa and I, we're so hard-headed to see all the clues point to INTJ being the problem. And talking from experience, I've met INTJs that I couldn't stand being around because they skipped small talk and went straight to abstract topics. Even as an INTJ myself, I'm like, who is this person and why do I care what they have to say? We're INTJs. We're the odd ones out. But when meeting new people, the hidden beauty is that we're not the only oddballs trying to fit in. When you start treating people like people is when you start meeting INFJs, INFPs, INTPs, and so many other types trying to fit in as well. We have a higher chance of meeting like-minded people by engaging people in a more popular playing field, a sensory-heavy playing field. So to meet new people, it's as easy as to go where people are and accept them for who they are. I know this sounds weird to most of you out there, but I have way more sensor friends than I have intuitives. Guys, it's a great feeling to feel so accepted even though I'm so different. If anything, make it a social experiment and give it at least 3 tries before you call it quits. The first time you go to a meetup, it's going to feel uncomfortable. But the second time you go, you know what to expect. At the third time, you can make a valid, conscious decision on whether you enjoy it or not. This is how you meet new people. This is how I keep meeting INTPs and INFPs. Now let's address the people that we're already close to. It's an unrealistic expectation to expect our loved ones to understand us as in-depth as a therapist. It doesn't make sense if you think about it. These people enjoy our company, treat us well, spend time with us, are loyal, mostly dependable, feed us, and hold us in high regards. Our therapist's only job is to listen to us bitch about things. That's only one thing of many. But yet, we're upset because our loved ones can't understand what we're thinking even when they check all the other boxes. INTJs, we don't even understand ourselves most of the time. We're way past being unreasonable at this point. Honestly, we're just acting like children. We're acting like a child. The adage I'm going to end this section with is something that I've adopted and honestly have changed my life for the better. The difference between a good day and a bad day is perspective. Don't think of it as you're wasting your time because you didn't have a deep conversation with anyone the first time you went to a meetup. Think of it instead as you put yourself out there and then you're actively working towards expanding your social network. Don't think of it as lowering your standards for your loved ones by letting things slide. Think of it instead that you're refocusing your expectations on what makes this relationship shine and what makes it so unique. Again, I'm not telling you to ignore the red flags or not to have standards. We're INTJs. That's literally impossible. I'm telling you not to get too caught up in your own anti-fantasy that you start ignoring sensory things that actually matter. Sensory things that other types, your friends and family, put a lot of effort in. The last issue is how to maintain a relationship. And this tip is specific to INTJs because we have such a low social battery. INTJs embrace the power of moments. There's a book written by the authors Chip and Dan Heath that honestly sounds like the typical INTJ mentality. It's called The Power of Moments, Why Certain Experiences Have Extraordinary Impact. INTJs have such a low social battery, and I believe this is our biggest flaw outside of us being naturally arrogant. The book goes over how to make an everlasting impression in a limited amount of time. Essentially, they talk about how to min-max or the most effective technique available to build a strong relationship, which is excellent news for INTJs because that means we don't have to spend every waking moment with someone to prove that we care about them. That leaves more time for us to INTJ the shit out of something else. And personally speaking, I didn't realize how much I did this before I heard about the concept. This is how I can personally ignore messages for weeks and people not get offended or think that I'm a bad friend for not responding. Or they might think that and they still welcome me back with open arms. This specific technique that I want to address from the book is called the peak end rule. When remembering an event, humans typically don't remember the boring stuff, but instead the peak of the event and the ending of the event. And I'm going to change the word peak in this video to emotions, because people typically don't remember exactly what happened, but instead how you made them feel or the feeling that they had around you in that moment, which they will then associate that feeling with you. INTJs, we can approach this in two different ways, either with Mama TE or Baby SE. As a TE aux user, this should be common sense for INTJs. If someone that you care about say that they love the zoo but haven't gone in a while, I feel like it's natural for us to make a zoo trip happen. You don't even have to be there in person. You just have to make it happen for that person and make sure that they have a great time, either by making sure it's funded by you or that they're surrounded by the right people. Or it could be something as simple as buying someone an inflatable bed if they just moved out into a new apartment and they've been sleeping on a couch. It could be something as simple as that. Those are very important moments to those people, and they will associate the good times to you. The SE approach is way more simple, and I recommend it way more than TE. Just physically be there with people. If you're a manager and you have a new employee, take that employee out to lunch. If your friends are going to music events, go with them. If your significant other is having a bad day, sit on the couch and lollygag with that person. It's more simple because you don't really have to do anything. The emotions are already there and created by an outside source. You just have to be there to be associated with that emotion. Think about all the best times that you had with your closest friends that wasn't planned and you guys were just together because you were bored. The world is always playing out a scenario. You just have to be there to be associated with it, so when people think about it, it elicits a positive emotion. So as an INTJ, when you don't reply for weeks, yes, people will get annoyed, but they're going to remember all the fun times you had together and not take your absence personal because of how powerful those moments were when you actually engage with them in the power of moments. Some people might call this manipulation, but how? We're spending time with you. We're spending money on you. We're engaging the world with you. Just because we're doing it for a reason doesn't make it any less meaningful. For an INTJ, it's actually the opposite. You know you matter if an INTJ is spending time with you or thinking about you. So INTJs, invest more on the moments you have with someone so that they're more okay with the moments that you're apart. All right, that was the end of my scripted video, and I actually have 2 more tips that I originally wrote that I didn't want to add, but I don't think I'm going to make a video for them, so I might as well just throw it here in the back end. And this is going to be pure NITE, not scripted, just going to spitball exactly what I'm thinking about. Tip 4 is how to make someone like you. As an INTJ, people naturally don't like us when they meet us, whether it's your manager, whether it's your coworker, or someone that doesn't really understand who you are. It happens all the time, especially in the corporate world. I had so many different managers, so many coworkers that I couldn't get along with every single one of them because as an INTJ, we are a certain spice that a lot of people can't handle. So my tip on how to make people like you that I've used myself is to use the Ben Franklin effect. If you want someone to like you, ask them for help. And I feel like this is a playbook that most women, especially in America, already know about, to play dumb in order to get someone to like you. Like, I don't want to make generalizations, but I know all my female friends already know that. So anyways, so this might be more towards the gentleman watching this video, but there is a term, it's called the Ben Franklin effect. Essentially what that means is that it's a psychological conundrum that a person goes through whenever a person that they don't like asks them for help, because your mind is trying to make sense of it. Why would you help a person if you don't like them? So therefore, you only help people that you like. Ben Franklin used to do this by asking people their thoughts on a book, borrowing a book or something, and then creating a dialogue through this method. And that's a method that you can use in your real life as well. If you have a manager that you're having issues with, just set up a meeting and ask them for their help. You can create an entire plan, and then the whole purpose of that meeting is for them to give you their approval. They actually don't have to do anything, but they just have to feel like they're doing something. Hey, how do you feel about this? Do you think this will work? Do you expect any issues that might arise that I need to account for? You're technically not lying because you are asking questions that you are unaware of. And because they're your manager, they're going to give you X, Y, and Z. So INTJs, if you want someone to like you that doesn't like you, just ask them for help. It's gonna feel weird at first, but as an INTJ, using NINTE, you should be able to find something that you know that person is great at, that you might admire, that you want to hear about. And the final tip that I have for this video is always start your feedback with 2 positive. So the rule of thumb is 2 positive before any feedback, any type of criticism. Thank you for this. This is great. Let's talk about this. This applies to every type of conversation you might have, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, whether it's with kids. You don't want to start conversations with criticism and end it with the positive. TE users, you guys are notorious for this in the comment section. I could tell if someone's a TE user when you start a comment with the criticism first and at the end try to butter it up by saying, well, I still like the video. That's not how the order of operations work. As a TE user, I don't really care myself, but that's something I had to learn to do, especially in the corporate world, because people who aren't TE users, DOM or aux users, they don't see the world that way. They hear the negative and they're going to focus on the negative. You're directing their emotions. So you want to direct the positives first and then focus on the negatives or the constructive criticism. Even if you call it constructive criticism and not call it negatives, it's still going to come off as negative if you're attacking them. There are so many people out there that attach their feelings to their work, that what they produce is the extension of who they are. So in that theory, if you're attacking what they created, then you're attacking who they are personally. I know it doesn't make sense for most INTJs out there, but that is a truth of life when you have to engage with other people of different types. So before you provide any type of criticism, 2 compliments. And if you can't find 2 compliments, then first, you're not trying hard enough. And second, never overlook the power of thanking someone. You could thank someone in the beginning and that's 1 compliment. Hey, thank you for reading my email. Hey, thank you for coming here. Hey, thank you for reading my comment. And then blah, 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 blah. So if you need to provide comments, as in it's going to directly affect you, hurt someone else, or affect something that you care about, then always start off with 2 positives first. If you start off with a negative, people who are not TE, DOM, or aux users will take it negatively. All right, that's all I have to say for this video. I'm gonna cut this video short now. Thank you very much for watching. To all my Patreon members, thank you very much for all the donations. It's not necessary for anyone to donate, but I really do appreciate it. Yeah, just thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Bye.